Just like a clock, the radius of this circle starts from the top and turns a certain degree clockwise. If x and y are the horizontal height and the vertical height respectively, then the sine of this angle is equal to x over the radius, while the cosine of the same angle is y over the same radius. X represents the opposite side of the angle, while y is the adjacent side. The hypotenuse is simply the longest side of a right-angled triangle, and it represents the radius in a circle. This is the complementary angle of theta. The cosine of an angle is equal to the sine of its complementary angle. In the same way, the sine of an angle is equal to the cosine of its complementary angle. If the angle is 0 degrees, then there would be no opposite side. This makes sine 0 degrees equal to 0 over the radius, and this is just 0. On the other hand, y is equal to the radius. This makes the cosine equal to the radius divided by itself, and this is 1. At 90 degrees, x is equal to the radius. This makes sine 90 degrees equal to 1. On the other hand, y is equal to 0 because there is no adjacent side. This makes cosine 90 degrees equal to 0. The important thing to know here is that cosine is positive at the top and negative at the bottom, while sine is positive at the right but negative at the left. So sine 180 degrees is equal to 0, while the cosine is minus 1. At 270 degrees, the sine is minus 1, while the cosine is 0. Now let's go through the sine and cosine of some special angles, starting with 30 degrees. Sine 30 degrees is the same as the cosine of the complementary angle, which is equal to 1 over 2. In the same way, sine 60 is equal to the cosine of 30, with a value of square root of 3 over 2. 45 degrees is the only angle that is the same as its complementary angle. Therefore, sine 45 is equal to cosine 45, with a value of square root of 2 over 2. Moving on to the obtuse angles. Sine 120 is the same as sine 60, which is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Sine 135 is the same as sine 45, which is equal to the square root of 2 over 2. Sine 150 is 1 over 2, and sine 180 is back to 0 again. This shows that the sine of an angle is equal to the sine of its supplementary angle. On the other hand, the cosine of an angle is equal to the negative cosine of the supplementary angle. For example, the cosine of 120 degrees is minus 1 over 2, while cosine 60 is 1 over 2. Therefore, cosine 120 is equal to the negative cosine of 60 degrees. Same logic applies to the cosine of 135, 150, and 180 degrees. If the angle is between 180 and 270 degrees, then both the sine and cosine would be negative, just like in the case of 225 degrees. Finally, if the angle is between 270 and 360 degrees, then the sine would still be negative, while the cosine would be positive, just like in the case of 315 degrees. Once again, Sine is positive at the right side of the circle and negative at the left side, while cosine is positive at the top and negative at the bottom. Just to clarify, minus 90 degrees is another way of saying 270 degrees. The same way this is equal to 360 degrees. Next time, we will talk about yet another trigonometric ratio, tangent.